Lewis Wall.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. I ngā mana, i ngā reo rangatira mā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko ai au ko tongarero te maunga, ko taupō te moana, ko ai katoa te awa, ko Ngāti Tūwhare tō me Waikato, ngā iwi. Ngā mihi, ngā mihi, ngā mihi. Ngā whānau me ngā hapu o Ngāti Rereaha, Ngāti Maniapoto, Ngāti Tūwhare tō, Raukawa, me ngā whānau o te rohe pōtai. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. It's my pleasure to be a member of the Māori Affairs Select Committee. I represent the electorate of Maraeroa, and I also sit on that committee with my colleagues, the Honourable Parikoro Horomea and Reno Tirikatene. I want to acknowledge our chair, the Honourable Tau Henare, and also the two ministers who are overseeing these two bills, the Honourable Chris Finlayson, the Honourable Tariana Turia. I'm really privileged to be on the Māori Affairs Select Committee. It's a privilege to be part of this treaty settlement and redress process. And it is a process, I think, that affirms tangata whenua identity, that affirms mana whenua identity, that affirms the status of our hapuaniwi in our country as the first sovereign. And I want to acknowledge that because I think that status and the acknowledgement of that status through that process, and it is an incredibly, it's a status that needs to be acknowledged by everybody. We are not just another racial group in Aotearoa, we are not just another ethnic group, and I think that this process consolidates that for all of us. So I want to take the opportunity to talk about some of the wāhi tapu sites that will be returned in this settlement process. And the reason I want to highlight the return of these wāhi tapu sites is because of how precious this whenua is. This whenua is for the whānau of Maraeroa. So we have the return of ngā heringa, koromiko, kotukunui, Pikiariki, Whareana and Pure Ora or Kahu. And there's also an acknowledgement of the historical and traditional sites of Ngā Heringa Pā site, Ngā Turi o Hinetu, Te Punawai o Waipapa and o Pāku. What I want to say is that this treaty settlement process actually started in 1891. It didn't start post-1985 when the Crown established the process. Actually, it started right back in 1891 when the lands were taken. And I want to acknowledge what Brendan said about the three brothers and the fight for justice that the whānau of Maraeroa have gone through, like every other iwi group in our country. And it wasn't some other group who confiscated these lands, who perpetrated these inequalities. It was the Crown. And so I want to acknowledge really the generosity of spirit that Brendan talked about, but the ethic of generosity in the settlements of all treaty settlements, because what we do know is that iwi and hapu get a fraction of what they're entitled to. It's just a fraction. But with that fraction, I know that it will multiply. And so I share my colleague, the Honourable Nanaia Mahuta's position that we will now, or the whānau will now have an asset base, and it is for us to do with that asset base as we want to. And if we look at the history, and I will use Nanaia's tribe of Tainui, they got their settlement, was 170 million. Now that asset base is more than 650 million. So what we do know is that Māori are definitely going to be part of the future fabric and economic drivers of the New Zealand economy. So I want to acknowledge also the ethic of forgiveness that these treaty settlements actually provide our country with. It is that forgiveness about what has occurred in the past, the fact that lands were taken, They were taken under duress. They were taken because surveyors didn't survey the lands properly, but basically they were taken to give to other people to build an asset base where them and their families have been able to enjoy a quality of life that unfortunately some of our whānau haven't. And so I celebrate the opportunity of our whānau to have this asset base, to actually realise what tino rangatiratanga means. And I think for a lot of us, you can't have tino rangatiratanga if you don't have a whenua to stand on, if you don't have a base, a capital base to be able to build a future for whānau. And so I just want to thank the whānau of Maraeroa for this settlement. I don't want to really, I will acknowledge the Crown's contribution to it, but a lot of the people involved in the Crown's part of the equation are paid employees. Now, the whānau aren't paid. The whānau have come down here of their own volition. We haven't given you any money to be here, and you're here because this really is, provides a starting point for you to get on and contribute positively, as you already are doing, to our country. And so I want to acknowledge the opportunity that this settlement provides, but I also want to highlight the post-treaty relationship that all iwi need to start forging with the Crown. And that post-treaty settlement is about us taking our rightful place around some decision-making spaces in our country, whether it be on the Conservation Board, whether it be a formal part of resource management processes, whether whatever they might be. The post-treaty phase for whānau and hapu and iwi is about us being around that decision-making table. And so I acknowledge all the whānau that are here today. I just want to reiterate again that it is a privilege for me to sit on the Māori Affairs Select Committee, and it's been a pleasure for us to be involved in this bill and the further bills that we will hear today. And I commend the bill to the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Louise Hubston.
Tēnā koe e te kaiwhakawā, tēnā koe e te whare. Rau rangatira mā, tēnei te mihi ki a koutou, I runga, I te kaupapa o te rā. Tēnā koutou nā